The prolonged Russia-Ukraine war has had far-reaching impacts across the globe, with oil prices hitting all-time high and inflation crippling the lives of the lower and middle-income tier in many countries. As Russia seems unyielding despite mounting international pressures, taking new rounds of attacks on Ukraine, global inflation is expected to fuel further, with economic collapses unavoidable. Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma, and these are the headlines of the hour. The Election Commission expedites preparations for the provincial and parliamentary elections, estimates 9 billion rupees as the total cost for holding polls in a single phase. The delay in feasibility study of Kathmandu-Kerang Railway, for which an agreement has already been reached, draws attention for all the wrong reasons. Ukraine army accuses Russia of using incendiary phosphorus on Snake Island. At least 21 people, including a child, killed as Russian missile strikes on Ukraine's Odessa region. And Novak Djokovic defeats Kecmanovic to enter into Wimbledon's round of 16. Belgian Elise Mertens defeats Angelique Kerber to book a place in the fourth round. The Election Commission has expedited preparations for the provincial and parliamentary elections. The Apex Election Authority, which is making preparations to recommend the date for a single phase, has estimated 9 billion rupees as the cost for holding the elections. Chief Election Commissioner Dinesh Thapulia met with Prime Minister Sharbanu Dewar yesterday and briefed him about the legal aspects of the elections and the preparations of the Commission. According to the Commission sources, the meeting also delved into the date for elections. The Election Commission has prepared a draft for holding the elections in a single phase in mid-November later this year. The top election body is also making preparations to present its report on election date, security, expenses and management to the Prime Minister this week itself. The Commission has expected the cost of the election to reach around 9 billion rupees. According to the Commission, the expenses will increase in comparison to the previous election due to inflation, increase in number of voters, resources and voters' education program. The Commission has also made preparations to demand the release of 500 million rupees for updating the voters' name list and archiving purposes. There were 17,733,723 voters in the local level election. The number of voters is expected to increase by around 1 million for the upcoming elections. The Commission expects the election to be fair and peaceful if both the provincial and parliamentary polls are held in a single phase. Now, news reports related to railway have been in the headlines in Nepal for the past few years. Despite former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli sharing dreams of rail and ships, they have never materialized. Development of cross-border railway is understood to make significant contributions in reducing dependence on India in terms of trade, transit and imports. However, the government has been wasting time with just limited talks on railways. The delay in starting the feasibility study of Kathmandu-Kerang Railway, for which an agreement has already been reached, draws attention for all the wrong reasons.
During the recent Nepal visit of Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Nepal and China had reached an agreement to begin the feasibility study of the ambitious railway project linking the two neighbors. According to the Chinese side, it will take around 3.5 years for the completion of the detailed project report or DPR of the Kathmandu-Kerang Rail, which is expected to significantly contribute to cross-border trade and human movement. The total distance of the railway from Rishikesh to Kathmandu through Kerang measures 540 kilometers. The distance from Rasuagadi border to Kathmandu is of 72 kilometers. Based on the detailed study conducted by China, 98% of the high-altitude railway falls in complex geographical terrain requiring several bridges and tunnelways. Around 292 billion rupees is the estimated cost for construction of the railway in the Nepali territory with Chinese aid. However, in the absence of the government willpower, the mega project is yet to become a national priority. The transit agreement of 2015 opened doors for cross-border connectivity, and the talks of railway were raised also during the Nepal visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping 3 years ago. Railway still remains a distant dream in Nepal, which should have relished its geographic position between India, with the second longest railway tracks of Asia, and China, which has state-of-the-art high-altitude railway operating at 460 kilometers per hour. Despite boundless possibilities in Nepal, there are no preparations to proceed with the DPR.
The government is likely to face complications in meeting its targeted revenue for the ongoing fiscal year. With the target of collecting 1,180 billion rupees in revenue, the government has so far collected only 970 billion rupees. With only 15 days remaining in its ongoing fiscal year, generating 210 billion rupees appears a daunting task for the government. The government, which was enthused with exceeding target in the initial months of the fiscal, is now feeling the heat with approaching end of the fiscal year. With only 15 days remaining in the ongoing fiscal, the government is under pressure to generate 117 billion rupees towards inland revenue, 43 billion from customs and 41 billion from other sources. The government had challenging targets this fiscal year in relative comparison to the previous fiscal. With the economy barely reviving in the aftermath of the coronavirus pandemic, the increase in target by 191 billion rupees was itself an ambitious move. Lack of a scientific tax mechanism and illegal import from open border also hampers revenue collection. Meanwhile, a few large corporates have hesitated in paying taxes. With these factors affecting the revenue collection, the government continues to set ambitious targets without adequate homework. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. In generating targeted revenue, your options are A. Ambitious targets, B. Bureaucratic flaws, and C. Restriction on imports. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, in our Public Voice segment, today we've asked locals in several provinces who should take the responsibility to ensure fresh and pesticide residue-free consumable produces. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
किसानले बीज कम हाल्यो भने त्यसको नियन्त्रण हुन सक्छ।
किसानलाई गएर जनचेतनाको अर्गानिक खेती गर्न सिकाउनु पर्यो।
विषादी रहित उत्पादन र विषादी रहित भण्डारणको व्यवस्था हुनु पर्यो।
उपभोक्तालाई पनि ज्ञान हुनु पर्यो, किनकि हामीले के खान्छौं यो विषादीले चाहिँ कति असर गर्छ भन्ने कुरा जानकारी हुनु पर्यो।
अर्गानिक मलहरु युज गर्नु पर्यो।
यसलाई नि जनचेतनाको रूपमा फैलाउनु पर्छ, सरकारलाई भन्नु पर्छ।
नेपाल सरकार पनि यसमा जिम्मेवारी हुनु पर्छ।
At least 3 people are believed to be missing in landslide triggered by incessant rainfall in Pasthar's Falelung rural municipality. Landslide had buried local Dalbahadur Magar's house in Bihidin market area at around 10 yesterday evening. According to Pasthar's Chief District Officer Suresh Neupani, 3 people went missing in the incident, including Magar's 42-year-old son Dal Prasad Magar, 38-year-old daughter-in-law Goma Magar and 19-year-old niece Alisha Magar. Search operation is currently underway. It's time now for the sports update. The Basketball Association has failed to make expected progress despite the interest of the youth and relatively greater penetration in the grassroots level. The domestic basketball scene, which has forever failed to gain momentum, was further hampered by the coronavirus pandemic. However, with most sectors and sporting disciplines slowly gaining momentum, basketball has failed to catch pace. The association does not seem to have plans for organizing any tournaments either. Basketball courts are present in most schools, colleges and universities across the country. Inspired by international basketball tournaments, including the likes of NBA, there is a notable basketball craze among the youths of several cities in Nepal. Amid such following, the Basketball Association can easily arrange courts to organize tournaments. However, the National Basketball Governing Body has been failing to reap the benefits of these opportunities. The association has not organized any tournament since a national-level women's and men's tournament organized in memory of late Lama Tendi Sherpa. Meanwhile, Nepal has not participated in any international basketball tournaments for the past 3 years. Despite the talks of organizing a franchise league, the tournament remains uncertain. In such a scenario, there is a call on sporting authorities, including the likes of the National Sports Council and the Ministry of Youth and Sports, to support the association in protecting the game with such great prospects. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.